in a way, I think these are my favorite types of episodes when it comes to Star Trek. Whether it's Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, the OG series, Discovery, Strange New Worlds, and that is when we take a lens and we inspect what is Starfleet. Because even though the concept of the Star Trek utopia sounds amazing, a place where no one has to do these menial tasks anymore that they don't want to do. Everything is automated. People are allowed to pursue creative endeavors for the sake of pure creativity. Money doesn't mean anything anymore. And, it's all about exploration, right? Behind all of that, exploration and discovery, behind all of that, though, is the fact that Starfleet, at its very essence, operates much like an empire. And they talk about that in this episode. The episode is literally called What is Starfleet? And it's sort of phrased in a documentary style where Ortega's younger brother, who's been on the ship filming, has put together this documentary, and it's using a bunch of declassified film footage and his own recorded footage during this crisis that unfolds throughout the episode. And the mission itself, I mean, kind of it's not really important. It is like your episode of the week, but the message behind it all, I think, is it's something we've seen before in other versions of the show, which I think it's always been analyzing the better parts of humanity against the backdrop of the bad, and showing that even though humanity is flawed, at the end of the day, when we all come together and work towards the common good, we do come out for the better, even though it might not always be an easy path to get there. It's not always a clean path. So this is a great episode for that reason alone. It reminds me of some of the, I think off the top of my head, when we look back at some of the episodes dealing with racism and genocide and the things that are not so nice, that humanity has gone through, which we've uncovered in like Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. Um, so yeah, I mean the idea posed at the beginning of the episode is, what is so different between Starfleet and an empire? They both colonize. They both um, have armadas. They both have weapons. They both aren't afraid to kill to get what they want. And there's definitely a sense that for many people, Starfleet is an ideal, but there is what Starfleet means to the average, ordinary person who's a part of Starfleet, and then there's the Starfleet that we have seen doing nefarious things when it's controlled by tyrants. Um, and I just love these types of episodes because it explores, especially when you look at it against the light of, I would argue, any political regime, whether it's past or present. Um, you'll see things where you're like, oh yeah, that's reflective of what's going on at this time, at that time when this was filmed, so on and so forth. Because authoritarian regimes are never good, and sometimes people who don't question authority run the risk of doing things that are not in the better interests of humanity. And that's the core message of this week's episode, which at its core is essentially there's two planets that are at war. Um, One planet has attacked another planet. That second planet has suffered I think it said 9 million casualties, and the aggressor has only suffered like 160,000 or something. And in the course of this, Starfleet has ordered the Enterprise to come in and help escort this creature, which is supposed to be, it's some sort of sea creature that's going to fly into space, and it's developed space flight technology, or not technology, but it's developed space flight abilities, and they're supposed to escort it for breeding purposes somewhere else. In the course of all of this, they find out that this creature has telepathic abilities. It destroys ships that try to get near it. Spock has a connection with it. Uhura eventually enables communication with it, and they find out that this creature, Mara finds out that this creature has been biologically manipulated to only feel aggression, and it has been scientifically modified by one of the warring sides to help defend against the other side. And unbeknownst to them, um, they, meaning the Enterprise, were actually delivering a weapon of mass destruction. And ultimately, the creature asks them to help her end its life by guiding her into the sun, which they do. And this, of course, goes against um, Pike's orders, which are to deliver this weapon, and it pisses off the one of the parties of this war. And Pike ultimately tells them, we can provide you with aid in many other ways, but your attempt to manipulate us into doing this does not look good. And the guy threatens him, and Pike's like, "You do not want to go to war with the Federation. We are not an enemy that you want to have." And ultimately, the guy backs down, and they guide the creature off. And in the course of all of this, there are some interesting interviews that happen where Ortega's little brother is filming people. Specifically, he does one thing which is kind of shitty, which is he attempts to evoke an emotional response from Uhura, who he's dating, while the camera is rolling, and she finds out that the camera is rolling, and rightfully so, gets pissed at him for attempting to manipulate her into giving an emotional response on camera, which is a really shitty thing to do, honestly. And if I were her, I would have cut things off with him immediately and and never had another word with him ever again. But ultimately, they kind of patch things up, and as he does his interviews with everybody on the ship, he comes to realize that this view of what he thought Starfleet was, which may not be an incorrect view, by the way, but his interactions with the crew members during this crisis and the way they all handle themselves and the way they all react to the situations shows him that there is another side to Starfleet that he hadn't considered before. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. And I think that is a very important message here. And this also goes back to there's an interview out there with Christopher Waltz, I think is the actor's name, um, who played from Inglourious Bastards when he played the German commander, right? And at some point, there's an interview out there where they were asking him, how did what was your go-to? What was your source for creating this completely evil persona? Like, where did you go to find a way to portray this evil character? And he responded to the interviewer by going, "What do you mean? He wasn't evil." Now, the viewer might view him as evil because he was a Nazi, right? And he was killing Jews and horrible things. But as he explained in the interview, in his mind, he wasn't an evil person. He wasn't doing evil things. And that is the message here at the end of it, is that people sometimes do things for, in the case of like with Starfleet, they are doing things that they believe are right. Sometimes those things aren't right, and sometimes they have a chance to realize what they're doing isn't right, and they can make a decision. And this is the key thing: make a decision based on the information presented to course correct, which is what Pike did, telling his, commanding officers, well, fortunately, it doesn't matter that you want us to deliver this weapon. We've discovered that it's not a weapon, it's a sentient creature that's been manipulated, and we're not going to be delivering a weapon. Um, that, at the end of the day, is the most important part about being a human being, is that you can make a choice. Even when when you know in your heart that something is wrong, but you've been told that it's right, making a choice is sometimes all that's required. But some people can't make that choice. Some people are always going to think that they're doing the right thing, even when they're doing the wrong thing. And that's the crazy part about belief and faith. And, and I think that's why this is a really important message and a really important episode because it analyzes not just what is Starfleet, what is humanity, and what is the ultimate, like, in portrayal of us as we evolve as a species. Phenomenal episode. Not necessarily the most action-packed episode of season 3, but definitely a philosophical episode that dives deep into what is humanity, what is Starfleet. Some great questions being asked. Especially when you look at people who they don't ever really think they're doing bad things when they have the belief that they're in the right, and that's why faith is such a dangerous, dangerous, dangerous thing. And sometimes you have to be able to step back from that belief and analyze and go, ooh, am I really doing the right thing? Food for thought. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update, everybody. We'll see you next week for another episode. I review lots of shows, movies, video games, and more. Daily streams at 4:30 a.m. on YouTube and Twitch. See you in the next one.